Good morning, everybody. My name is Alex, aka Woggerman. You can find me on Quarters Up Gaming on YouTube and on Twitter under Woggerman. Um, just kind of want to go over a few things that happened yesterday. I've had some time to think about and kind of look at all the information coming out about Project Helix. Um, I wanted to wait till today till I can kind of get my thoughts around some of the things. I have some insights, I have some analysis, and I also have some questions that I think still need to be answered. And I kind of want to go through all of that with you guys and see kind of, you know, where this whole Project Helix is going to go. Um, it's been a whirlwind of the last few weeks with Phil and Sarah leaving and Asha taking over. Um, I think we're just starting to see kind of where things are going to be a little different, and um, I think we need to kind of just take it easy and let things play out as they are. So I think first thing we need to kind of look at is what's going on in terms of Project Helix. Now, obviously, a couple days ago, it was announced, and we got our first look at the logo for Project Helix, and was obviously told that it's a PC and Xbox hybrid. Now, it's interesting because I think it's safe to say now that all three major video game companies, um, traditional video game companies, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo, all are going a different direction. Nintendo obviously is going to stick to their walled garden, 100% walled garden. You can only play their games on a Nintendo system, and it's worked for them. And I think you need to realize that that's probably going to change, at least not in the short term. Who knows what will happen 10, 15 years from now, but realistically, Nintendo's not going anywhere and not going to change. Sony, PlayStation, they played around with PC ports on their games. You can argue either way whether it was successful or not. $2 billion is nothing that you should be sneezing at, Sony, but again, they also really didn't put themselves in the best position by releasing some of those games 2, 3 years after they were, basically have run its course. Now they're going to still make the multiplayer games. It sounds like multi-platform, but uh, as far as their exclusives, their single-player exclusives, I think it's safe to say that even though they haven't made an official announcement, they're the reports have been saying that they're going to remain exclusive and behind the walled garden of Sony, PlayStation, PSN store. Whether or not that works out, we'll see. With the changing times, I think all three companies are trying to figure out a way to best um, get their games out there and to make a profit. Because after all, these are all corporations, and they're all trying to make more and more money. So we'll see what happens with that. And then, of course, we have Xbox, and hence Project Helix, which is going to be a PC Xbox console hybrid. Now, you can argue, is it a console? Is it a PC? Is it both? I still believe a console is a box that will sit under your TV, that will offer a streamlined user interface, that'll let you get into your games pretty quickly without much hassle. Um, they refer to it as a console. They are going to refer to it as a console. Uh, I consider it a console. You can argue it either way. It's fine. Either way, it's going to be playing your Xbox legacy games as well as new Xbox games and your PC games. Now, so kind of yesterday, we had Jason Ronald, the president of Next Generation or head of Next Generation Hardware, and he kind of had about a 35-minute keynote regarding what is Project Helix specifically more toward the developer side of things, but it did give us some insight into kind of the philosophy and everything behind it. I think we have uh, really kind of got a good amount of information from them. So there's going to be a lot of innovations from from the previous consoles. Again, it's going to play all your Xbox console and PC games, which is really important. I think he also mentioned that we're going to get some new ways to play some backward compatible games, which is really cool. It is powered by a custom chip from AMD. Um, it will the chip, I believe, sounds like it will be scaled up and down across a variety of devices, from handheld to mobile to PC to console to everything. So it's going to be something that AMD is going to be using for a long, long time. And Xbox, it kind of, at least for me, sounds like we're going to see multiple iterations of the hardware using the same chip, um, which is really cool. The biggest thing for me, and I think for that differentiates itself from maybe a next gen PS6 or another piece of hardware, is it'll have its own NPU, which will allow for um, for it really to kind of take away a lot of the burden of the upscaling and various different frame generation and things like that, machine learning away from the CPU, so there won't be any bottlenecks. It is going to use AMD FSR Next, which is which we have yet to really kind of see what that is, but for all intents and purposes, AMD has done a great job. Um, FSR 4.1 right now is really, really, really good, and it's getting really much better. So I think by the time that this comes out in 27 or 28, this we will be seeing some really incredible upscaling, um, and I think it will make it. I won't say future proof, because at some point there will be better technology, but I think we will see a longer life cycle coming up, possibly double in length, but we'll see. Um, and then I got really good texture compression, and you're going to see more with direct storage as well. The texture compression is really important. Sony actually got that really, really right this generation with the PS5. Um, Despite being a little bit less in terms of power, their compression was fantastic, and you can tell that even with less power, I mean, it was outperforming Xbox on a lot of major games. Now, you could argue that that was because PS5 was the lead platform, so they focused more time on that than they did with the Xbox, and that may be the case for some of the other things. But I think all in all, for all intents and purposes, the two systems, despite the power differential, pretty much were on parity with each other or really close to each other. So, um, hey, sometimes optimization is more important than anything else. Um, but the other big thing that was announced was game preservation, and that we're going to see some the backwards compatibility program come back, and that's going to be really exciting because despite the fact that people say, "Oh, I don't go back and play backwards compatibility games," and blah blah blah, um, I think I think there's still I have such a large library, for instance, with Xbox. I mean, I have almost 3,000 games on there, and I want to keep being able to access them and play them. And I think that's really important in the grand scheme of things, to have that ability to go back and play games. I Jason mentioned in his keynote regarding Fusion Frenzy that the developers, I think it was Blitz Games, if I recall correctly, would have been just, I mean, crazy thinking that 25 years into the future, a game is still playable on a system that's 4 generations, or 4 or 5 generations beyond what they were developing it for. So that's really cool, and I think the more we get into I think the one differentiator between Xbox and anybody else, other than PC, obviously, is that you can go back and play all 4 generations of Xbox, and I think it's really cool. And I look forward to seeing what they're going to do to enhance the experience even further. And then, of course, they announced that the full screen experience is now called Xbox mode in Windows 11, and we're going to be seeing that launching in April for everyone in select markets. I have it on my PC. It has substantially improved over time. I can't wait to see what the final, well, I won't say final, but what the updated version of it will be when it lands in April. But it definitely has come a long way. You can see the vision that Xbox has regarding uh, where they want to take this and what the UI is going to look like. Um, Again, you know, we can talk about the philosophy um, behind what this all means. I personally um, really like the idea of having a box that will play my Xbox games, Steam games, GOG, Epic Game Store games, everything that I've accumulated over the years, and with a really great user interface, and that's the key. If they can get the user interface to work like a console, to be like a console, to not have the hassle of a PC, I think it will bring in a lot of people. Now, will it convert a lot of people who are Xbox people into PC? Yeah, probably. Um, you all have to remember, and this is what gets me, Microsoft is Windows. Microsoft is Windows, and it is Xbox. So whether they're playing on Windows or Xbox, that's a win for Microsoft, right? So would I prefer Xbox to be the growing gaming uh, priority for them? Absolutely, I do. I love the Xbox community. I love the Xbox brand, and I think it's important that it remains a console first uh, brand. But it doesn't mean it can't grow. And I think with PC, it gives the Xbox brand a stronger identity across multiple devices, as well as gives it more flexibility to play games that maybe wouldn't normally be on an Xbox. Um, One thing I do want to bring up that I think is really important, and I think was kind of glossed over in one of the presentations. They talked about this is more for developers, by the way. Obviously, GDC is a developer conference. It's not a consumer focused conference. But one thing I think that's been glossed over in a lot of the reports is the onboarding for developers. You know, one of the things that Xbox has been criticized for, and rightfully so, by the way, absolutely so, is getting developers the time it takes for developers to be onboarded, to be brought into the Xbox ecosystem, to be allowed to develop for them, to be dealing with updates and patches and everything else. And you know, one thing that they completely changed going forward is the onboarding. It used to take months for a new developer to come in, go through all the NDAs, sign up, do everything before they could even get a dev kit or before they could even be approved. They had to wait for everybody to sign off on things, and they've basically taken that whole process and thrown out the window. And they made the onboarding now. It's gone from several months down to was on average about 30 days. Now it's about 30 minutes, which means a lot for a lot of these indie developers that are self-publishing and stuff like that. They won't have to go through months of waiting or a month of waiting. It's now only a 30-minute. There's automated responses, things get done, and they can be up and running in 30 minutes. Xbox has also added that they're going to get the PlayFab. I think it's PlayFab. Is that the name? So the cross, so that they can deal with cross saves and across multiple devices, you know, cloud saves and in multiplayer and everything else. So that's going to be given to them for free. So there's a lot of good coming out of the devs uh, portal, the development portal for Xbox, that I think is going to really help get more games onto the platform. That's really important. You know, at the end of the day, we're playing games. We're not playing the console, right? We play the games. Where the games are is where we're going to try to play them. I would love it if Nintendo and PlayStation would go the same route as Xbox and allow their games on multiple platforms so that one person can spend, what's probably going to be between $700 and $1,200 for a platform for a system and be able to play everything. We obviously know that's not going to happen, at least in the short term, but it's a really great idea. I think Xbox has their Play Anywhere, which is awesome. I use it all the time between my ROG Ally X and the and my uh, and my PC and my Xbox, and sometimes on the cloud. When I go off and go into I'm in a hotel and I want to play a game, I always bring my controller and I'm able to hook up to the TV. In some cases, if it's Samsung TV or I have a Fire Stick, I can go in and I can play the games on the cloud or on my phone. Um, it lets me play my game and continue on from where I left off, and that's really, really a cool feature. But so obviously a lot of great stuff that came out of this this conference, and I think we're seeing now where the direction that Asha is taking it. Obviously, there's reports now that the this is the Xbox campaign is basically done and dusted. It's being removed from the internet, scrubbed, if you could say. Um, I didn't really have a problem with that campaign, but I understand the controversy around it, and I think if they're going to really push this narrative that that it's going to be a console first Xbox going forward, then they had to do what they had to do. So again, I think we're seeing now kind of where Asha's vision is going to go. Um, it's the beginning of it. I also want to say that um, community is going to be playing a large part uh, in how the how this vision shapes up. It's clear. I've spoken to lots of people who all agree um, within Xbox, outside of Xbox, in other with some devs and with some obviously other community members who all been reached out to, and I think we're going to be seeing the fruits of all that come together later this year, and I think it's a really important thing. It's not going to be like it was before, um, but I think they are definitely listening to what the fans want, and within reason will adjust some of their plans to make sure that hardcore base of people who will go out and buy anything Xbox, um, who want to continue to support that ecosystem, will have the option to do so with the full support of Microsoft and Xbox, and that's really important. I do have some questions. I think there's quite a few questions. Obviously, time frame of when this will be released and price obviously are the two major questions that everybody wants to know. Um, I don't foresee this happening until the minimum late 2027, with the dev kits coming out in early 27. But here's the thing: it is a PC. Well, listen, all games are designed on PCs. Okay, it's really the APIs and the tweaks and the optimizations that have to occur for it to work on a console. So they're already developing on PC. If they have the specs of what things are, and they could easily start releasing product late that year. Um, I think Colt Eastwood had a great video, and he mentioned that dev kits for the Series X went out early in the year it was released. I think 2020. So, and that was during a pandemic year. So, I mean, that's really incredible. So it's definitely a possibility, and we'll see where that goes. But my questions are going to be more along the lines of um, multiplayer. Now, I'm not a huge multiplayer fan, but I do play some games. But what is Xbox Live going to look like going forward? If you're trying to lure in PC players, Xbox Live is a pay to play. Are they going to figure out a way to? How are they going to get? They don't want to lose that money from Xbox Live, which is now in Xbox Game Pass or whatever. But what are they going to do to still maintain the ability to earn that money? Um, because PC players right now don't have to pay for multiplayer. So I don't know. We're going to see where that goes. I have a feeling Game Pass is going to go through some changes. Um, I think if they allow multiplayer to be free, and then if they have Game Pass use the Xbox Live infrastructure, um, which allows for much easier party, you know, for a lot of people, it's just easy to just, you know, turn on the game and play, and it uses Xbox Live for the party chat and everything else. Some people don't want to deal with Discord or other things like that, and uh, so I don't know. They're going to have to obviously change up Game Pass in a way, so that Xbox Live isn't such a huge part of it. I don't know. It's really interesting because again, you're not going to lure PC players into buying a console if they're going to play multiplayer. So that's one question I have. What's going to happen with Game Pass? What's going to happen with Xbox Live? Um, I love Game Pass. I think it's a great option um, for people who obviously, if they're going to spend $1,000 on a console, um, it's a great way to build up their libraries and play games that they may not normally want to play or I've thought they wanted to play, but then find really great games like Planet of Lana and MIO, which I just recently found, and it's a great game. It's going to be interesting, and I think so. Obviously, price, um, release date, what's going to happen with Xbox Live and Game Pass, um, what kind of integration is the community going to have? Are we going to see it more community events in the year? That's really important for people like me who have been part of this community for a long time, who've made tons and tons of friends that I talk to on a daily basis. Um, you know, um, how is the community, the creator community, going to be involved more with Xbox? I think these are all things that will need to be answered fairly soon. I think we'll see some of those answers probably sometime this summer, um, at least by the summer. And I think we're going to really kind of get a um, great launch of a new generation of Xbox. Um, I'm sure there will be some pain, but it sounds to me like they're really going for it. I've heard some really good things from some of the studios that we're going to be that they feel confident that they'll still be around. A and B that their next games are going to be successes. I think this year is going to be a fantastic year with Forza, Fable, Gears, and Halo coming. I can't wait for Forza. Forza's only less than 2 months away, so really excited for that. But I think we're going to see a big push from Xbox. I think we're going to see news regularly from Xbox. I think we're going to see some really consumer forward um, and community forward events and news coming out at least through the next few months, leading up to eventually the launch of whatever Project Helix is going to be called. And, hey, and by the way, kind of like Helix. I mean, an Xbox Helix sounds like a really good name. They may want to keep that. But anyway, either way, I just wanted to give my thoughts again, give my questions, give my impressions. I think we're off to a really good start. It's been a crazy few weeks. Um, I do miss Phil and I miss his candor, but I also know that this is the direction that Microsoft has decided to go with. Um, and as a brand, I have so much invested in it. I'm going to give it every opportunity I can. I think Asha has done a really good job so far speaking to the community and speaking to the people. And I think the whether or not this was her or Phil before, or Sarah, or anybody else beforehand. It's probably an amalgamation of all of it. I think it's been a really strong start. And I look forward to seeing what's going to come in the future. Again, my name is Waterman. You can find me on X, Twitter, whatever, and YouTube under Quarters Up Gaming. And I look forward to talking to you very soon. Again, thank you so much for listening. It really is incredible to be able to give my thoughts, and I hope that some of the insight is good. I will talk with you very soon. I do have some content that I've been meaning to try to get up, and I will be trying to do that in the next couple weeks. Things have been really hectic at work, so I apologize, but I do have some new content coming, and some stuff that you might be surprised at. So look forward to it, and I will talk to everybody soon. Thank you so much, everybody.